Here we are again. The battle bus has now done 260,000 miles and it's broken down. And that is the remains of the serpentine belt. And there is some of the pulleys that the serpentine belt should be running around. So what happened was that the air conditioning pump has seized. So this is solid, and that stopped the belt, which then overheated, which then melted the jockey pulleys that run here and here. So winter is approaching. I don't need the aircon at the moment, although it does serve to dehumidify the air as well as cool it. And I'm not at all sure what I'm going to do with this car. So I'm not prepared to do the air conditioning pump yet, so I decided to bypass it. So this video is mainly about bypassing the air conditioning pump. So the first thing you're going to need is a different length belt. And this is a 6PK2185, which I got from Euro Car Parts. They seem to have them on clearance at the moment for about £8 and normally about £30. And this diagram shows the route of the belt on the left with the aircon and on the right without the aircon. Now it turns out that the aircon pulley actually slightly gets in the way, and you'll see what I've done about that later. So the first thing I'm going to do is make very sure that there's no foreign objects that might have damaged the belt, and I'll give this a clean up. I'll make sure all the grooves are clear and I'll give it a clean up with a wire brush. This is the power steering pulley as it happens, but I'll do the same with the engine crankshaft pulley. It's the water pump pulley that runs on the other side, and there's the alternator pulley down there. So I'm completely happy that there's nothing in this power steering pulley that could damage the belt. I've been able with a wire brush and a paintbrush to get all the dust out. The belt will actually run a little bit higher on the pulley anyway, it won't go right down into the bottom of the grooves. And I'm now going to do the same with the alternator pulley, which is much smaller, and the crankshaft pulley, which is much larger. And to turn the crankshaft pulley, you will need a 27mm socket. The crankshaft pulley is now clean. I've started work on the alternator, which I thought was clean, but in fact I recovered this ring of rubber from, so that is clearly shouldn't be there and was probably from the melting event. Well, much to my surprise, it's taken a long time to get this alternator properly clean. It took me about 45 minutes of scraping and wire brushing and so on, but now I think it's done. Here are the new guide wheels, I'd say £8 or £9 from Amazon. And that's what happens when the belt seizes and the guide wheels melt. This is the bolt that holds the guide wheels on, and there's one partly fitted, and you need a T50 for that. There are the new wheels in place, and then there's just a little cap that goes over the top to cover up the bolt. belt tensioner, you need a 17mm bi-hex socket. And then you can see how the tensioner works as you rotate it anti-clockwise. The whole thing moves against a strong spring, and that's what does the tensioning of the belt. So the belts are supplied by Euro Car Parts. One is made in 2022 and the other is made in 2023, and in fact one that's 2023 feels a lot more soft and rubbery, so that's what I'm going to fit. That's the 202.22.1255 is the Euro Car Parts number. The actual belt is 6PK2185, and this is the routing that we've got to achieve. Big loop around the tensioner and a big loop around the alternator number 4 there. So there's the routing, and you just take the tension off with a bar, and then you can, I find it easiest to fit the power steering last, and just roll it onto the pulley, release the tension, and you're there. And then just check that all the belts are running in the right grooves and they're not overhanging the pulleys, which all looks good.